Welcome to the Needs Languages. Today, I have a lesson on what is the difference between vows, commitments, and promises. I want to thank you for purchasing this, and let's begin. Hello, and welcome to this lesson on the Needs Languages. I hope you are doing well and ready to learn about yourself and others today. Let's first start by taking a deep breath. I want you to prepare yourself to learn what is about to be shared. You know how you learn best, so apply that while you are listening to this lesson. Now, since you've purchased this lesson, you can always review this lesson at any time. Many times I have reviewed these myself to fully understand what I'm teaching. If you don't get it the first time, it's totally understandable. Be patient and kind to yourself and others. Now let's get started. I want to start off with how I discovered this. It's been through years of researching and understanding heart dynamics. What I mean is, we speak who we are and what we need. We also speak our manifestation. Now, there is healthy manifestation and unhealthy manifestation. This can happen very young or very old. In my studies around development, I have learned and seen where vows come in. In this lesson, I will not be covering that. Instead, I will be covering what vows, commitments, and promises are, and it's not in that particular order. However, if you would like me to cover the developmental age and the kinds of things that happen at those ages, let me know and I can make a separate lesson on the subject. Before I get into the definitions, I need to explain what manifestation is according to what Greg Braden said. Thought, and it is out of the Book of Thomas, and it explains the formula for manifestation. Thought plus feeling equal emotion. Briefly, I will explain the difference between feeling and emotion. Feeling is like sad, emotion is like grieving. Feeling is like happy, emotion is ecstatic. So the thought is, this is another example. The thought is drive, I would like to go drive. The feeling is getting the keys. And when you add those together, the emotion is where you're actually driving the car. So I hope that that really explains that in depth, because there was, for me, back when I was learning this, no one was explaining the difference between feeling and emotion. When you understand the concept of a manifestation, it will help you understand how vows, commitments, and promises work. So let's start with a promise. Have you ever wondered why we don't keep promises to ourselves and others? Now you may say, I keep my promises. But think about New Year's resolution. How many times do we promise to lose weight, exercise, or start that business, or do that project? Oh, I promise I'll get it done. How many promises have you broken to yourself or others? Procrastination is also can impact that as well. Now, as I write this, I'm not condemning you or anyone else. I've done this myself where I've made empty promises to myself. So what I am saying is that a promise is a thought. There's no feeling to equal emotion. Now you may say, I feel fat and I want to lose weight. I have feelings around that. Well, your feelings may be you don't like your weight, but if you don't have a negative thought with a positive emotion, the formula won't work. They cancel each other out. So either the promise is just a thought, a good idea, or a positive thought with a negative feeling, and then nothing can come out. So the formula ends up being nothing. So you have positive thought plus negative feeling. It's the mathematical formula cancels out, and there's nothing, because a positive plus a negative equals zero. You just can't do that. And so nothing happens. Or let's say you have a negative thought, like I'm fat, and your feeling is positive, like I really would like to take care of myself. Well, nothing's going to happen there either, because you had a negative thought plus a positive feeling, and they're going to cancel each other out. That is why most promises never work, because they don't have commitment. So, what is the formula? What is commitment? And what is the formula for it? Here's the formula: positive thought plus positive feeling equals emotion. Emotion is the driving force. Remember, that's the driving force. So, commitment is the fulfillment of manifestation. Let's look at some examples of how this would look. But first, we rewire ourselves in either heightened positive emotions or negative emotions like fear. So you're constantly rewiring your brain to either align with your commitments or they're going to align with your vows. And we'll get to vows in just a second. So we're either doing that positive, heightened, joy, love, all those heightened emotions are going to rewire your brain. But fear is a lower frequency and it is going to also rewire your brain. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, that's not okay. So we have to understand this. Now I'm going to continue. While making a vision board, you are laughing or playing or having fun. What we put together on our vision boards are meant to bring us joy. Many times, if not all the time, the things you put on a vision board come to pass. If you commit, the whole positive thought plus positive feeling equals positive emotion. Now, a person wants to find a job. Thought. The person lists out what they will feel when they get that job. Feeling. The combo of the two together creates emotion. Now, this person may have made a commitment that they are most likely going to write this down or spend time visualizing in gratitude or just meditation in general and seeing it happen. Commitment to the formula. So they're committed to this formula, and they don't even know it a lot of times. We don't. And as they continue, all of a sudden the job appears. That is how commitment is broken down. So let's move on to vows. What are vows? Vows are very similar to commitments, except they're usually negative and they will eventually manifest somehow in some way in a person's life. The formula for a vow are negative thought plus negative feeling equals a negative emotion or reaction or driving force. Wow. Now think about that. Every time we are upset, we can create a vow. It's like having a negative promise to go to full commitment, but instead it is a vow to never have something happen again. It is typically a painful experience that leads one to make a vow, and it can happen at any age. However, it is more dangerous when we make it as children because many times it goes into our subconscious mind where we don't remember making the vow. I've seen many cult leaders, and I've actually seen vows form on children before at certain ages. And so I just want to make this clear that I have seen this and I have experienced it myself, and I've heard of other people experiencing this. So I want to continue. I have seen many cult leaders who have made vows or are dark personalities or people who struggle with belonging. It is usually has to do with something that involves other people. Let's look at the example of Charles Manson or No Name Maddox. Now, if you knew that was said on your birth certificate, how would you respond or react? Would you want to make a name for yourself? So now you may say, how would he have known? Well, when you grow up in abuse, you hear those types of words over and over and over again. No one with an R needs language can handle the idea that they are bad. They ultimately want to be good. So when you attack an R needs language in this area, what happens is they've got to find a way to be good or create what they think would be good in the situation. So he most likely made a vow he was going to be known. If you would like to know more information about how vows work with the needs languages, please let me know and I will break it down more. But this isn't just for cult leaders. It can be leaders in business, a person, or just a person in general. Someone is bullied, and I'm going to give another example. Someone is bullied. I will never be bullied again. The thought is bully. The explanation point at the end of that is feeling. The subconscious mind goes to work to make sure it never happens again. Now, depending on your constitution, what your constitution is will depend on how vows manifest. The person may never have close friends. That would be a way the vow would manifest. That would mean they are lonely, but they're keeping the vow of not being bullied so they don't get hurt. Or they may not stay at jobs very long because of how they are treated. Or they may have good or they may not have good attendance at work. Or they may bully others and they may bully themselves. This would be the result of the emotion, the bullying, or all these scenarios would be the result of the emotion. It it gets trapped and can only affect what goes on the outside world, but it not only, excuse me, it not only affects what goes on the outside world, but it also impacts it can impact the body with sickness or disease or even death. So, what is scary is many of us don't even know we have made a vow. And because of this, we live our lives in ways we don't want to. Now, you may say, can you forgive? But if you don't know or remember how are you going to forgive? Along with that, just because you forgive doesn't mean the trapped emotion is gone. And these are things that can play a factor. When you marry a negative thought with a negative emotion, a negative feeling, and it equals into a negative emotion, it becomes a trapped, it can, depending on how strong it is, become a trapped emotion. So you have to rewire or rewrite which new thought, positive, with a positive feeling that creates emotion or driving force to make a new imprint. So let's use another example. Think of a sandcastle. Your vow is like a sandcastle. Sometimes it needs the water to wash it away or stomping it down with your feet. However, it can take time to deconstruct the erect castle. And the reason being is a castle is got rooms. And if you look at really complicated castles at off of beach sandcastle making or people who make sandcastles, it takes a long time. One vow ends up making another vow, usually, which makes another vow, and it builds up on each other. So it becomes the strong castle. So I hope that analogy has helped you. And I hope explaining all three of these helps you to make wise decisions around what you want for your life. But before we end, I want to acknowledge where I got the formula of manifestation from as thought plus feeling equals emotion. It was Greg Brendan and the Book of Thomas. And he talks about that. Now, if you would want more information, you can always look up his materials. However, I expanded on this knowledge with the research I have done. And that's where I explain what feeling was versus emotion and how the three different ones work so that you can understand how things are manifesting or not manifesting in your life. If you'd like healing resources so that you can rewire or rewrite, please reach out or we will send you the information that we have found on this. If you want to discover this on your own, Bruce Lipton has a list of modalities to rewire that I highly would recommend and agree that works. So as we close, I want to encourage you to really take the time to meditate on this. Go through and think about how this applies to you, the people around you. So until next time, be well, be happy, and healthy. Hoping all your relationships are successful and bring you the belonging you desire.